Here we go. Okay, so for the practice today, we'll focus on some core work, but it's not going to be deep. No, it's not going to be like the planks or like holding boat pose for long periods of time. I want you to focus on the muscles and all the connective tissue that helps support the core. And you may notice that the more superficial muscles, or the muscles that are defined, aren't necessarily the ones that give us our strength and our ability to be upright. Those muscles are contributed to the psoas muscle and to the erectors. So tonight's practice is playing around with some of those deeper muscles while also addressing the superficial muscles like rectus abdominis and all of the obliques and transverse abdominis, okay? So we'll bring ourselves to our mat and to our practice, and then I will take you through kind of some range of motion, giving you the lay of the land, and we'll get started, okay? So to begin, let's find a comfortable seated position. The legs are lying in front of each other. Bring the palms together and just start rubbing them, creating some heat. And then you can leave the palms together, or if you want to stack them on top of your heart, you can. And we'll start off with 3 collective cycles of breath. Full inhale into the nose. Sigh out. Full inhale. Sigh out the exhale. Nice full inhale. And release on the exhale. Stay here for a few moments, just connecting your breath to your practice. Take a nice full inhale in. Sigh out your exhale. Then place your hands on your shins or your knees. And slowly start making a circular motion. So you may want to lean over to the left, come forward to the right, and back. And don't worry, if you started going a different direction, that's fine. We'll eventually change the rotation. But while you're doing this, notice how you can keep your straight spine and move in the rotation, okay? And then also notice too, if at any point your sit bones start lifting up, because then that can give you a little insight if you've got some tightness going on, maybe in the front or in the back. I wouldn't worry about pinpointing where the tightness is, just noticing. And if you want to slow down your rotation, you can, or you can keep it going. All right, maybe 2 more rotations. And then change it up. And then decide if you want to slow it down or make it bigger. We'll go 2 more times around. And then find yourself in stillness. Great. Inhale, bring the arms up high. Keep the spine nice and strong. Exhale, fold forward. So see if you can keep your sit bones rooted down and slowly start hinging forward. And then allow the hands to stop on the ground. Maybe their fingertips are touching the mat or the palms. Keep your sit bones rooted down. Engage if you can walk forward a little bit, or maybe walk the fingertips closer to the body. Keep your straight spine and then drop the head down. And while you're here, notice if you want to start lifting the sit bones up at all. You feel maybe one side of the low back is lengthening better than the other. And then always keeping the shoulders dropping down and away from the ears. One more full cycle of breath here. Then use your inhale to bring yourself up. And then bring in the palms behind the back. Slowly give yourself a slight back bend here. And you want to lean back without tucking the pelvis back. So see if you can just allow yourself to lean back. Great, and then inhale, come on up. Sitting up nice and tall. Set your right hand to the outside of your right hip. Lift your left arm high to the sky. Okay. You'll play around with the low back muscles here and even a little bit of the side muscles. So slowly walk your right hand to the outside of the right hip and then reach the left hand up. And then when you're ready, slowly start side bend over to the left side. So let this motion first be a lateral flexion to the right, okay? And then when you feel like you're in a nice sweet spot here, that's when you can start using the left hand to reach a little bit more. And that's when you're going to feel that activation more in the side body. The lateral flexion is more in the back body here, but then that reaching is going to activate the side body. And then once you're here, you find that spot that is good for you. You can play around with it. Flip the palm up, flip the palm down, feel what's going on in the shoulders. You can look at the right knee or look up high to the sky. Let's take 2 more big breaths here. But while you're here, see if you can make your inhale in the belly so big, even the side body feels like it's stretching. Great, and then use your inhale to bring yourself back up and set both hands down to the side. Sit up nice and tall. And just take a little assessment of what you're feeling between left and right. Nothing's good, nothing's bad. You're just taking in information here. Sitting up nice and tall, nice full inhale. Sigh out the exhale. And let's switch sides. So the left hand's to the outside of the left hip. Reach the right arm up high. And kind of get your bearings here. Get your strong spine straight. and ready to do some work. And then when you're ready, begin side bend over to the left, walking your fingertips out, or maybe they need to come in. And then once you have a sweet spot established, then reach with the right arm. Once again, yogi's choice to play here with the rotation in the inner shoulder. Maybe adding bending into the elbow. Looking at the knee or up to the sky. One more breath here. And then when your inhale happens, slowly bring everything up and set both hands down. Awesome. Okay. So from here, set your right hand behind the back, and it's like you're using a kickstand. Okay. And then reach the left arm up, have your straight spine, and slowly turn to the right side, the left hand to the outside of the right knee, giving yourself a little twist here. And all you're doing is giving, just seeing where your rotation's at in the spine. If you want, you can take your right hand behind you, give yourself a little bit of a bind. And then if you want, you can take the gaze out over the right shoulder. And then can you take 2 big cycles of breath, really breathing into the belly? And you'll notice here in these rotations and even in the lateral flexion, it's not necessarily the superficial muscles that are doing the work. And then slowly unwind, coming back into center and switching sides. So now your left hand is behind your back using a kickstand, reaching the right arm up high to the sky. Full inhale. And then on your exhale, slowly guiding the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Taking your rotation as deep as it needs to be. So that might mean looking over the left shoulder or not. And then once again, give yourself at least 2 big cycles of breath. And then begin unwinding. Great, reach the arms up high to the sky one more time. And fold forward. Once again, placing the hands onto the mat and walking yourself forward, deeper, or maybe you just want to stay up high. Great. Use your inhale to bring yourself up. Roll over onto your shins, coming into a tabletop pose. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the palms. And because we were focusing a little bit more on the deeper muscles, for sure we're doing cat-cow. So dropping the belly, looking on up, tucking under toes for cow pose. But then as you come into cat, I really want you to start at one end of the spine. And you can start at the chin, chin into chest, belly button into the spine, tuck the tailbone under, tops the feet touch the mat. And then find your cow pose, and then, bring yourself into cow pose, just opposite of how you brought yourself into your cat. And some of us feel good starting with the tailbone up to the back of the skull. So find the rhythm that feels good for you, but really feel each vertebra come into its flexion and extension. Except the T-spine, but that's a different story. I'll just say that. So all the vertebrae around the ribs aren't they're having a little movement. But we're really getting the lumbar vertebra going, and obviously the cervicals. And then you've already gauged how you're feeling in lateral flexion in the back. So take advantage of that. So maybe you make some C shapes with the spine going from side to side. And then returning back into neutral. Take the big toes together, knees come wide, come into a child's pose. And even if I don't cue this, at any point in the practice, you're always welcome to come back into child's pose. Forehead touches the mat. Hands and forearms are planted and rooted. Maybe imagine that you're walking your fingertips closer to the top of the mat. One more big cycle of breath. And then begin to roll forward back into tabletop pose. All right. Reach your right leg behind you and have it at about hip height. All right, push out through the right heel and bring the belly button into the spine so you're not sagging in the low back. Take your nice full inhale, and as you exhale, knee comes into nose, round the back. And then create some length, extend the right leg long. Exhale, knee comes into nose. Inhale, right leg comes long. Exhale, knee comes into nose. And then inhale, right leg comes long. And then you'll bring the right knee at the same level as the right hip. So it's fire hydrant pose too, if you ever are curious. Imagine that you're a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. Okay, and then from here, make sure that you're not dumping too much into the left side. Okay, take your nice full inhale. As you exhale, bring the right knee onto the mat. And then bring the right knee back at hip height. Right knee touches the mat. Right knee at hip height. And then your right knee touches the mat. Right knee at hip height. And then try to extend your right leg long. And then bring it behind you. And then the right knee comes back down, tabletop pose. And you can cat-cow to reset. All right. Left side, so extend the left leg long, point the left toes down, nice full inhale. Knee comes into nose on the exhale, round the back. Inhale, left leg comes long. Exhale, knee comes into nose. Inhale, left leg comes long. Exhale, knee comes into nose. And then left leg comes long. And then left knee at the height of the left hip. And then as you exhale, drop the left knee down, tap the mat. Inhale, left knee comes at hip height. Exhale, left knee taps the mat. Inhale, left knee comes at hip height. Exhale, left knee taps the mat. And then bring the left knee at hip height. Extend the left leg. And then swing the left leg behind you. Set the left knee down. Take a little cat-cow to reset. And then gently and carefully make your way into your first downward dog. So you just did a lot of movements with the hip, playing around with some of the attachment sites, with the deep core muscles. So in your downward dog, you have a few more breaths, maybe move around. Play around with the breath, maybe even play around with taking the legs wide. And always remember, the palms are planted onto the mat. And you want to imagine that your right hand, both hands are glued onto the mat, but the right hand is opening up a pickle jar clockwise. And the left hand is opening up your pickle jar counterclockwise.
All right, let's find some stillness and 3 deep cycles of breath. One more breath. Shift forward into your version of plank pose. Staying here. One more breath. Then drop the knees, the chin, the chest, and come long onto the mat. Legs are extended long, tops of the feet are on the mat. Hands are underneath the shoulders, lift the chin, lift the chest for a cobra pose. And you can decide, gauging on the low back if it needs to be a higher or even a little bit lower, sliding the shoulders down and away from the ears. And then as you exhale, slowly release. Push back into your downward dog. Two more breaths. And then feet walk to the back of the hands on the exhale. Find your version of a halfway lift as you inhale. So while you're here, you're bringing the belly button into the spine. Tailbone reaches back, crown of the head reaches forward, shoulders are sliding down and away from the ears. And then fold as you exhale. Feet are rooted down, reach your arms up high to the sky. Inhale. And then bring the palms down to the side as you exhale. All right, have your hands face forward, find your mountain pose. And I want you to stand nice and tall. This may seem a little weird, but go with me here. And you can place your hands on your hips if you want to kind of feel what's going on. And when you kind of lengthen the tailbone a little bit, it's like you drop the hip back or the pelvis back. So it's not big, okay? And then I want you to feel when you tip your pelvis forward. Okay, there's a little compression onto the back. And then just lengthen the tailbone, so drop the tailbone or the pelvis back. And then have the pelvis spill forward. Now, oftentimes in the cues, do this one more time. When the pelvis is spilling too far forward, it's compressing and shortening a lot of the muscles in the back. So when you hear lengthen the tailbone, it's giving yourself that little bit of space and extra room in the low back, okay? So I may not cue that, but I want you to give yourself those little checks. All right, come back into your mountain pose. Make sure you don't have too much of that lower dosis curve going. You may find yourself doing this because you might have a tight psoas, so I want you to be gentle. All right, reach your arms up high to the sky here. Full inhale, fold as you exhale. Halfway lift. Plant the palms, come back into your plank pose. And then if you want, you can always drop knees, chin, chest, or lower down slowly. Find your halfway lift, your back bend. And then release on down. All right, from here, palms are underneath the shoulders. Lift the right leg. Okay, and then I want you to just pulse the right leg up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the right leg. And then lift the left leg and pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so you did like quarter locust pose. All right, lift the right leg and then reach the left arm forward. Long. And then set the right leg down, left palm down, left leg comes high, right arm comes forward. And then set both hands down so it's like half locust pose. Great. And then when you're ready, inhale, bring yourself back up into your downward dog. So you had some fun tipping the pelvis and moving the legs around. Reach the right leg high to the sky. Bring the right knee to the outside of the right elbow. Shift forward. Try to see if you can keep your spine straight. Right leg comes high to the sky. Right knee to the left elbow. So now you're getting a little bit of the transverse abdominis going. Right leg comes high to the sky. And then from here, right knee comes into nose, round the back. Right leg comes high to the sky. And then step the right foot through to the hands, high runner's lunge here. All right, let's set our foundation up. So pushing out through the left heel, right foot is planted. And then set your left heel down and bring yourself up into your warrior one. All right, feel nice and strong here. Maybe tuck the tailbone under if you can. If you have a tight psoas going on, maybe you feel like you can straighten the right knee a little bit. All right, so find your foundation and then place your hands onto your hips and you'll slowly lift your left leg up. Now the left toes can stay touched onto the mat, or you can lift the legs a little higher, maybe like you did in balancing table. And we're gonna pulse, or you'll pulse the left leg 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lift or keep the left leg lifted to your height. Full cycle of breath here. And then set your left foot back, come back into your warrior one. All right. From here, reach your left arm forward and right arm back, finding your dragonfly pose. So you're looking out over your left fingertips. So we've got a lot going on in the superficial. We're keeping our nice strong spine. And then take your gaze and see if you can look over your right shoulder to the back of your right fingertips. Staying here for 2 more big breaths. And then slowly bring your gaze forward, bring both arms up overhead. Frame your right foot, lift the left heel up, high runner's lunge. Right foot meets left foot, plank pose. And then slowly and carefully take it through your flow and meet in downward dog. Three more breaths. Last breath. All right, left leg comes high. Left knee to the left elbow. Left leg comes high. Left knee, right elbow. Left leg comes high. Left knee to nose. Left leg comes high. Step the left foot through to the hands, high runner's lunge, find your foundation. And then set your right heel down, slowly come up, warrior one. Once again, just gauging what needs to change. And, be easy on yourself. If you could go deeper here, if you need to back off here, that's fine. Sometimes we're not always asymmetrical. Sometimes we're asymmetrical. All right, placing your hands onto your hips and then slowly lifting the right leg. So even if the right toes are onto the mat, that's fine. Be where you're at on each side. And then with the right leg as high as you please, pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And leave the left leg lifted as high as you can. And then slowly find your way back into your warrior one. And then reach your right arm forward, left arm back. So now you're in your dragonfly pose, getting a little bit of the rotation going. And then use your nose to draw a line to look out over the left fingertips. Two more breaths here. And then slowly coming back into center, reaching the arms up high. Frame the left foot meets right plank pose. And then slowly and carefully take it through your flow. Two more breaths. Last breath. Reach your right leg high. Step your right foot through to your hands, high runner's lunge. Spin your left heel down. Line yourself up for your version of a warrior two. Okay? And then bring your arms up, find your full warrior two expression. So the hips are turning and opening up to the left side of the mat. Your fingertips are straight forward. Shoulders are dropped down and away from the ears. Okay. So from here, we want to try to keep our solid core. Drop your left hand to the back of the left thigh, right hand comes high to the sky. So you don't want to feel like you're dipping back, okay? It's almost like the top half is just folding back. Your legs are having their solid foundation. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, come back into your warrior two, and right hand comes down to the inside of the right foot, left hand comes high to the sky. And you're really pushing down with your feet, activating your leg muscles here. And looking up towards your left fingertips. There's not a lot for the muscles to be doing, but just stabilizing the spine. And then as your inhale happens, come back up into your warrior two. Hands come onto your hips. And it's the same thing you were doing in warrior one. Slowly start lifting the left leg and straightening the right leg. So the right leg is your foundation, and you're lifting the left leg, almost like you're doing a side kick. Or if you've picked up on it, you have half moon legs right now. But it's not the full expression. Okay. One more breath. And then set the left leg down, come back into your warrior two. And then cartwheel your hands, frame your right foot, and start turning your left heel forward so you're in your high runner's lunge. And then from here, I want you to come into your standing split pose. So rooting down through the right foot, straightening the right leg, lifting the left leg high. And then your job here is really to focus on keeping the glutes relaxed, keeping the belly button coming into the spine, pushing out through the left heel. One more breath. And then as you exhale, have your left foot meet the right foot in your forward fold. Find your halfway lift, your fold, and then reach your arms up high to the sky, full inhale. Fold as you exhale. Halfway lift. Plant your hand, step back into plank, and then take it through a flow or meet in downward dog. You have 5 breaths in this down dog. So if you feel like you want to shift between plank and down dog, you can. One more breath. And then reach your left leg high. Left foot steps through to the hand. Set your feet up for your warrior 2. So turning your right toes completely out. And then open up into your full warrior 2. Okay. It was quite chatty on the other side, so you know what to expect on this side. So nice, strong, straight spine. You know if you need to make any adjustments with your pelvic tilts. All right. And then when you're ready, drop the right hand to the back of the right thigh. Left hand comes high to the sky. You're feeling it in the superficial muscles here, but the work is in the spine, keeping the spine neutral and strong. If not, you'd be collapsing back. One more breath. And then find your warrior 2 briefly so you can find your extended side angle. And just in the beginning too, if you wanted to give yourself a little extra length by reaching the right arm parallel to the right ear, you can. And then inhale, bring yourself back up into your warrior 2. Hands are on the hips. Root down on the left foot, and you'll slowly start kicking the right leg up. I only have so much space, so I'm not going to go as high on this side. But the focus is to lift the right leg. So even if you're with toes lifted, you know, on the mat, be where you're at. So I'll stay low because I only have so much space. One more breath. And then find your warrior 2. And then cartwheel your hands, frame your left foot, spin your right heel up, and then find your standing split pose. So rooting down through the left leg, lift the right leg, push out through the right heel. And see if you can bring the nose maybe a little bit closer to the leg. And then have your right foot meet the left foot in your forward fold. And then find your halfway lift. Fold forward. And then reach your arms up high to the sky as you inhale. Fold as you exhale. Find a halfway lift. Plant your hands, step both feet back into your plank pose, and then lower down slowly. Fabulous. All right. So you can bring your arms, let's actually start with just arms down to the side. Forehead is onto the mat. And I want you to just, with the torso, just kind of rock from side to side here. I'll just demo this really quick. As you're rocking from side to side, a lot of times we can stand like an angry teapot. So you might feel that that mismanaged. I cannot say asymmetry right now. Well, okay. So in the beginning, lifting the legs, you were kind of giving a little lay of the land of what's going on in the low back, and hopefully it feels even, but if it doesn't, be gentle. So starting off in locust, when you take your inhale, lift your chin, lift your chest, bring your shoulders back, maybe lift your arms here, and you can gauge
the compression on your low back. So be gentle. Maybe it's a little bit lower. Okay, and see if you can soften in the glutes. One more breath. And then as you exhale, lower down, maybe place one side of your face onto the mat. If you want, you can bend the knees and rock from side to side. And then find your legs long, forehead back onto the mat. And then when you inhale, lift the head, lift the chin, lift the chest, and maybe this time lift the legs. And see with each inhale if you can come a little higher. If you're feeling it too much in the low back, I want you to come out. You know, no reason to crank up on the low back. But, you know, this kind of gives you an idea of how sometimes the more superficial muscles, in this case, the QLs, the quadratus lumborum, you know, if you have some tension there, that can really inhibit, you know, the extension of the back. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, lower everything down. Maybe turn the other side of your face onto the mat. Bend the knees, take the feet up. And you can always kick one heel into the glute, followed by the other. And then send both legs long, foreheads onto the mat, and I'm giving you another opportunity to come back into your locust pose. This time, if you want, you can bring the arms in front of you. So it's more of that Superman variation. All right, so when you're ready, lift the head, lift the neck, lift the arms, lift the legs. And you can always play around here. You can stay up high, or you can toe tap the left foot, right hand. Bring both up and toe tap right foot, left hand. You can go back and forth here. But be gentle. And if you're doing the toe and the finger tapping, maybe complete one more side, come back. And then as you exhale, slowly release everything back down. Zip the legs together, allow the heels to touch, feet turn out, crocodile pose. All right, beautiful. Slowly place the palms underneath the shoulders, push yourself up. And then you'll come back into a seated pose. You'll eventually be supine, but because of gravity, you won't be able to feel a lot of that deep work on the muscles because they won't be working. So have your legs long in front of you. Heels are planted, toes are up. Sit up nice and tall here. And because we live so much in a forward flex world, we might already be doing this. See if you can bring yourself up nice and tall. And as you do this, you may notice that you're shortening the front body. Cool. All right. So reach your arms up high to the sky. And then fold forward as you exhale. See if you can keep your spine straight and allow the more superficial muscles to activate. Here. They're not really, yeah, they're activating, but you're not feeling them like you would if you were like flexing the bicep. They can be thin muscles, thin tissues. You're getting a lot of anatomy in this hour, so I'm sorry or you're welcome. All right, slowly bring yourself back up. And then from here, bring your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. And the left leg can become directly out of the hip, but if you noticed in your practice, you want some more like of the outside muscles in the low back need a little attention. I want you to bring the left leg out to, I think it would be like 11 o'clock if it was a clock face. All right.
And then reach your arms up high and look over wherever you put your left leg, okay? So rotate the torso and then fold forward. So now we have some rotation and some forward flexion. And some of us, our rotation's very little. And fold forward. Now, if you want a little bit more in the right side body, this is where you would reach the arm up, arc it over, and reach for the right fingers towards the left toes. That's another thing. When I get very excited about something, I stutter. So I try not to get too worked up. And then you can slowly guide the sternum up towards the ceiling. Keep reaching. And those who are staying in their fold, see if you can really keep the sit bones rooted down and reach both fingers towards the feet. There's no right or wrong variation at all. You are just completely honoring where you're at. And then no matter where we're at, we're all going to meet framing our left leg. Taking one more cycle of breath. And then slowly bringing ourselves up. And send both legs long. Pausing here, feeling the work you've done between left and right. And then switching sides. So bringing the left foot to the inside of the right leg. I'm going to leave my right leg here for this side, but if you want, you would be taking it out to the 2 o'clock spot. And then reach the arms up. And then rotate the torso so it's in line with the right leg. So some of us are doing a deeper rotation than others. And then fold forward over your right leg. Reaching towards the feet. And then if you want, you can always have the right hand to the outside of the right leg, reach the left arm up and over towards the right toes. And then it's yogi's choice how they want to take the rotation up towards the ceiling. I'm staying in this variation just so that there's 2 variations out there. And those who have taken the arc, slowly frame the right leg. And then walk yourself up. And send both legs long, sitting up nice and tall. Cool. All right. Place your feet flat onto the mat, tuck the chin into chest, and slowly lower down 1 vertebra at a time. So that the back of the head is the last thing that touches the mat. Feet are flat, knees up. And then, you know, if you need to suss around and make any movements, please be welcome to it. Okay, and then from here, because you did this standing, I also want you to do it lying down because you'll feel it more on your mat. Tuck the tailbone under, give yourself that length. So you're going to feel the low back touch the mat. And then it's pretty hard, but you can still do it. Slowly start anteriorly rotating the pelvis forward. So you feel that arch in the low back really rise up. Okay, you're not really going to do that supine. You really want to, not necessarily avoid it for everything, but you know, when you have the length in the spine, it's that tipping of the pelvis back. And then find your neutral spine. So, you know, not taking the pelvis too far forward. And then take the knees from right to left. And you're feeling a lot of the muscles again in the low back and on the side body. Lengthen and shorten. So you're probably noticing that when you go to the right side, the right muscle shortens, but that the left side lengthens. So that's where the asymmetrical feelings can come into play too. All right, so find the knees flat, or feet flat, knees up.
And I want you to extend the left leg long and hug the right knee into the chest. Maybe bring the right nose into the knee, giving yourself a little flexion. And then send your right leg high to the sky. Hamstring stretch. And you can point the right toes towards the face, or the toes away. And then bend back into the right knee. Take the right arm out to a T and use the left hand to guide the right knee across body, giving yourself a supine twist. And then if you want, you can take your gaze out over the right shoulder, over those right fingertips. Returning back into the belly breath. And then bring yourself back into center. Hug both knees back into the chest. If you want, you can place your hands onto your knees and give yourself a little pelvic clock. So that's where the tipping of the pelvis comes back into play. And that's why I said you're not always not going to tip the pelvis forward. But it's just good to feel. Okay, and then keep your right leg extended long, left knee is hugged in. Bring the nose to the knee if you want some extra flexion. If not, the back of the head can always stay onto the mat. And then you'll bring the head back onto the mat. Extend the left leg long. Give yourself a nice hamstring stretch. Sometimes when the hamstrings are too tight, it pulls the pelvis back too much. All right, and then bring the left knee in. And then the left arm comes out to a T. Use your right hand to guide the left knee across body, giving yourself this supine twist. And if you want, you can look out over the left shoulder. Two more big breaths here. And then bring yourself back in, hug your knees into your chest. And you know if you want to take the circles or go from side to side. And then when you're ready, bring your arms down to the side and extend your legs up. And if you have a wall next to you, you can always bring your legs up against the wall. But if not, you have this variation right here. You can lift the hips and place a block or stacked hands underneath the low back. And if you have any other inversion in your practice, you may go there now. I may not cue you out of it, but I trust that you will cue yourself out of it. let this next breath start on the inhale. Let it be long, let it be strong. Sigh out your exhale. And then slowly find your way into your Shavasana pose. So bringing the knees into the chest, extending one leg long and then the other. And then, if you need a full body stretch, you can take it. If not, you can just rest into the Shavasana. Start by taking 3 deep cycles of breath, maybe sighing out the exhale. And I will call you back. All right, yogis. You can stay in Shavasana, or you can end your practice with me. If you want, slowly make your way onto your right side. Whether that means adding in a full body stretch or hugging knees into the chest. And stay on your right side for a few cycles of breath. And then using your left palm to slowly push yourself up, come into a seated pose. And then from your seated pose, bring your hands into heart center, thumbs on the sternum. Come up nice and tall, but then give a soft bow to your head. Take a few cycles of breath here, just ending your practice. I thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in you. Namaste.